So, did somebody say a game 7? Because if you did, congratulations. You win an internet cookie. So what does that mean? That means the Minnesota Wild, after being down 3-1, are heading to a game 7 winner takes all in Vegas. And I gotta say, last night's performance was probably one of the best performances from this team I have seen this year. And I'm not even exaggerating. That thing was a thing of beauty. I mean, from the first period to the second period to the third period, I mean, everything was clicking. We had Vegas hemmed. You know, we had them against the ropes the whole time. Never really let them get comfortable. Never really let them set up. Never really let them get their shots. And thankfully, we were rewarded. Now, the first 2 periods, really, there weren't a whole lot going on. I mean, there was a couple of massive hits, including Marcus Foligno basically taking Zach Whitecloud out of the state of Minnesota. But, wow, that was a hell of a hit now, wasn't it? But, yeah, I mean, this team has grit. This team has determination. This team has chutzpah. This team is poised to lay it all on the line, and whatever happens game 7, that's all you can ask for. Just give it one more gas. Fight as hard as you can. And sure enough, it's the same formula that the Wild have gone with all year. All year. I mean, this team has gotten down 2-0, 3-0 before and come back to, at the very least, make it a game, if not come back for the win. So, I mean, I've seen this happen many times. And the Wild in their history have a history of winning massive Game 7s after being down 3-1. Heck, in 2003, they won 2 series after being down 3-1, including over Colorado, which, if you know anything about the early 2000s Colorado, with Wall, Sakic, and those guys, yeah. You can see why that was kind of a big deal for only like a 4th-year team. But anyway, yeah, so basically, as I mentioned before, all the action really, as far as like the scoring and stuff like that, was in the 3rd period. After all the hitting was done and after all the massive it was crazy. And then in the 3rd period, Hartman opens up the scoring with a beautiful snipe. And then there was a goal by Vegas that was taken back in the same way the Foligno goal was taken back just a couple games prior. Ironically enough, both in St. Paul. And Pete DeBoer challenges this call, which ends up biting him right in the keister, just as I thought it would, because again, not trying to be a biased Wild fan or, saying God hates the Wild or whatever you want to say here, but it's like, it was the exact same way that Foligno took away Eriksson Ek's goal. It was the same way that Tuck took away the goal for the Golden Knights. And, as I just mentioned earlier, Pete DeBoer challenges this call, and it gets upheld, which then puts the Wild on a power play. And for the first time in this series, Kevin Fiala scores a power play goal. Thank you. And at that point, I was just like, let's go, boys. I mean, we were buzzing last night. And then Eriksson Ek came with, well, let's just say Eriksson Ek, scary collision into the goalpost. Oh, boy. Thankfully, he came back like 2 minutes later, but oofda, that did not look good. But again, thankfully, he came back. Oh, man. And then, yeah. So at that point, after all that craziness, and we were up 2-0, then coming down the lane again, Nick Bjugstad finally gets another tally on the board with a beautiful deke on Fleury. Wow. And like I say, we hold on to win 3-0 and force it to a Game 7. Let's go, boys. And like I said in the last 2 games, this is the team we love to see. The one that, even though their backs are against the wall, even though they were counted out, and hell, I'd be the first to admit I hadn't. Well, going into after we lost 3-1, after that deflating goaltender interference that got taken back. Oh boy, I mean, there was just no life. I mean, the team just died at that point. And then just seeing this team rally together again, coming back with that big win in Vegas, then to come home and blank the Golden Knights, and then force it into a Game 7. This team has a bright future ahead of them. And like I say, we still got one more game to take care of here, boys. But regardless of what happens, hell of a season, great grit, awesome fight. And until we meet again, this is Jacob. Let's go wild.